All right, I'm gonna start right here with this, and I'm gonna even dare say that when it comes to Vietnam, I'm kind of a scholar. It's one of the things, I've talked to hundreds of vets, studied most of the battles, studied both sides, and one thing that happened when the American Army, see what the American Army did in Vietnam is they turned it over to the ARVN, like they would always say that ARVN was in the rear with the gear, and they were telling people they normally wouldn't fight. They took I think it was 70, they took the main ARVN army, the Army Republic of South Vietnam, and they tried to knock out some base camps. And again, American intelligence was terrible. They took about 5 or 10,000 people and tried to fight about 30,000 people. They got their ass whoops with helicopters, air support. The South Vietnamese army still got their ass whooped. But watching the end of the Vietnam War, one thing that I was able to capture was one of the person that was patrolling in the gunboats in the Mekong Delta. What he said was, "Who is going to keep this up?" He was like, "There's no one here that can fix these motors." So when you hear the number and the amount of equipment left in Afghanistan, again, who are the mechanics? Now, one of my friends was in the Air Force for a number of years, and that motherfucker could take apart and put together anything. There's a skill level to fixing and using a lot of this stuff. Now, again, they could bring in Chinese, perhaps. They could bring in Russians, perhaps, and operate some of this equipment. But more than likely, the thing they're going to run into again is parts. Who's the supplier of parts? Now, I imagine so much because, again, they outfitted the army, the Afghanistan army. When the army's checks ran out, these dudes quit. But here's some good questions that he brought up that is worth listening to.
About all this like mass weapon transfer, I'm trying to figure out if this stuff is actually accurate because it's so unbelievable. I mean, was this on purpose? Was this accidental? Was this part of a deal that we weren't aware of? That we were going to leave all of this great equipment, or is the equipment not workable? Has it been disabled?
You see, he brought up a good point. And the skill to use this equipment, operators, be it pilots for Black Hawks or not. And remember, parts and knowing how to fix the parts, knowing how to fix the computers.
There's all these, I guess it's because I can't believe the story. So.
Wow. I'm surprised he said that. He said, "I can't believe their story," and that's what it is.
Have to separate it into two parts. First of all, when the U.S. military pulled out and left Bagram Air Base and left a fully armed Afghan...
Again, we've seen this in history. They left a fully armed Vietnamese army, of South Vietnamese army, of about 200,000-300,000 people. And they got defeated in months. And there was no advantage that the North Vietnamese army had, other than they had Russian tanks. But we had American tanks. And it makes you wonder, like even if looking at the fall of Saigon, how was Russian tanks able to come in and the American tanks of that time couldn't take out the Russian tanks, which we knew they could and they had before. That's why before the American pullout, you saw no major tank battles between American forces and Vietnamese forces. And the few times it did happen, they were able to destroy those Russian tanks.
Army of up to 300,000 troops. They had to leave them with weapons. We had spent $85 billion over the years. There were bound to be
taxpayers spent it.
Stockpiles of weapons. You couldn't take all your weapons with you and then expect the Afghan National Army to fight the Taliban. They didn't expect the Afghan National Army to fold so quickly. Is that some of the more advanced equipment, some of the helicopters and the Apaches and whatever, they pulled that was part of the retrograde when they left Bagram. Now, that's not to say that some wasn't left behind, because again, the expectation was that the Afghan National Army would stand and
I'll see if I go on tonight. Shoulder is hard to sit. Maybe I can find a better sitting position. I'm so left-hand dominant that it's hard for me not to reach for things with my left arm, but just depends on how I feel when I come back on again. Because again, it's kind of hard to sit in that one spot. the way my shoulder feels. But thanks for the concern. I do appreciate it.